Are England sliding towards yet another crisis? Ben is in this week. Bienvenue.
Merci.
What do you see from the outside looking in?
You could face, Romania 4 times in November. You'd get some wins.
Wow.
So generous.
Is this England team nasty enough?
The Bundyaki try, I would have ended that. There is no tomorrow.
Ultimate violence, ability, aggression is kind of what gets you through.
How good were France? Oh, well, that tells you what you need to know.
Finally, Antoine Dupont stepped and I think he broke poor Liam Williams' hip.
What concerns, if any, do you have this weekend?
It's definitely not a walk-in victory, and the boys will not think that, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Into the final moments, Alex Payne trying to keep this side going forward. Haskell takes it on now with just relentless chat, largely about himself. And there's Tyndall to add the finishing touch of glamour and World Cup winning stories. That is how you podcast.
Hello Dream Team, welcome along to this week's episode of The Good, The Bad and The Rugby, proudly sponsored, as always, by our good friends at Continental Tyres. Our go-to for premium tyres at Continental. Safety, performance and grip are the name of the game, the complete opposite of this unpredictable show where we're never quite sure how the journey will unfold. But as always, buckle up and enjoy the ride. No real need to invent the wheel this week. We're going to have a round 1 debrief of the Men's Guinness Six Nations and a round 2 preview. And as we do that, there is a faint undercurrent of are England sliding towards yet another crisis? A win over France will certainly halt that in its track. But what chance? We will get into that on this week's show. Before we get underway, if you don't already do so, please do hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us if you're watching or listening on Spotify. And don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments. Hask will reply to each and every one of you on an individual basis, or maybe not.
AI basis.
On an AI basis. We've got a brand new tool that will issue abuse in equal measure.
It's amazing how good it is.
It's very useful.
Bit of an odd thing to call your new guest, a brand new tool, but
Ben is in this week. Bienvenue to Ben.
Merci.
How are you?
I'm good.
There's a lot to get into, and it's very, if you read the papers, certainly in this country, there is a storm brewing around all things Allianz Stadium. But let's step back from Friday and Saturday, and on Sunday morning, where were your emotions? What did you learn over the weekend of round 1?
That Six Nations is a pretty cool competition. It's always the same. You miss it. It comes back really quick, and all of a sudden after Christmas, you're back at it. It's brilliant. It's spectacular. It's different. It's every year's got a different story. Was I blown away by the quality of rugby? No. Was I excited to see more? Absolutely. Was I a little bit disappointed by probably the split that there is in the Six Nations and the lack of competition all the way at the top? Maybe. But excited, happy, can't wait to see more.
The English press pack have sharpened their quills once again, and it definitely feels like there's a bit of a momentum building now and a lack of patience with England. I think it was 11 months ago we sat here, and it was off the back of the Scotland-England game, and you said, so long as we're seeing progression in performance, I don't really mind about the result. You said, I want to see England play, and Furbank obviously was selected, and England played with positivity. They obviously blew the game at Murrayfield, but we saw a lot more. We saw more of that against Ireland. We saw a lot of that in Lille, where England lost last gasp to France. There's been a lot of water under the bridge since then. Are you still on the horse of, show me some entertaining rugby and I will wait for the results, or are we just begging in some form for a result to appease the naysayers?
Yeah, obviously you want a result. You've got to have, you want that Ireland result of the Six Nations last year, the last minute drop goal that wins it. At the moment, we're on the other side of it constantly. I think on the weekend, the problem is it's the same period in the time in the game that everything seems to drift away from them. Up until the 55th minute or something like that, and then we make changes and we sort of lose the next 15 minutes. The positive out of it was we sort of came back against it, scored those 2 late tries, and finished off taking something away. I thought if I go through positives of England, because I think there are one, the intensity in that first half. And their work rate and the work ethic. I thought watching that first half, I was like, defensively, we'd sorted a lot of problems. I thought Slade and Lawrence worked really well together, and they knew when they were onto a losing task by going up hard, so they closed and they pushed it out to the edge. Obviously, then in the second half, a lot of the positioning wasn't too bad, but still they just fell off. Some one-on-ones which you can't really always equate for. I think what they could have done is they could have swapped out Mitchell's role instead of leaving him on James Lowe constantly.
Same thing for Bundyaki on on the left.
Yeah, but I thought it was a pretty well managed first half as well. They played in the right areas. I think they got value out. I thought Ollie Lawrence played really well. You know, the little break that he made that then set up for the Slady grubber on the edge. I think that partnership's actually functioning. But yeah, I think ultimately three drop off of tackles and then good execution from Ireland has cost us, and that's the frustrating. So to go back to you, I think the performance levels are still good. They scored whatever it was, 3, even though 2 came in the last 10 minutes. But until they can answer that window of time in a game and not lose that window of time, because that would be the thing, you've lost.
So why are they because the argument is that they were losing it late in the autumn, and now
I came up with a theory for that, having looked back at this game. We've talked about bad subs in the past. In the autumn, we talked about subs that didn't make sense. So when you're watching it, you go, what are you doing that for? You know, Marcus Smith going off in the first game when he was arguably man of the match and bringing on someone cold. And then on the weekend, I looked at I think substitutions. This might just be how it looked on the weekend, but it was substitutions on the back of negatives. So we conceded a try just after half time, and then we made 4 substitutions, and then we conceded another try. Then we made another set of substitutions, and then we didn't get anything. Then there was a 5-minute break, and then we actually got 2 positive results to finish on. So whereas all Ireland sort of came on the back of positives. So you're going on when the momentum's with you, you've got the feel of the game. Whereas it was like we were on the back foot and we made subs.
But you can see why he would be trying to change a momentum that was drifting away from him.
Well, I think, I don't know what Hask or Ben think. You've all been in those games where things are just not going your way, and that you're always on the back foot. And then to come into that game when all you've got is eagerness to go get someone, you could argue that's why James Lowe runs that line and Cunningham sounds just going, I want to get the guy on the outside, and he hasn't looked and scanned the numbers. He just wants to make a physical presence. So then you're not on those turns, and it was just a thought that popped into my mind, making subs off the back of a negative swing. You've just suddenly gone behind, and then you make a load. Whereas actually let the good boys try and get you back in front. I know with front row that might change a little bit because you make subs all the time, but.
You've gone very much into the detail of the game. A lot of people at the moment are looking at the whole. This England team have won 2 of their last 9 games, both of those against Japan. It's the worst run in 19 years in that regard. They cannot find a win against an opponent higher than them in the rankings. Steve Borthwick's win percentage across 26 months.
Drop the rankings and then.
Well, possibly, but it's a curious one to adopt if it is. But Borthwick's win percentage is 50%, the lowest of any England coach since Andy Robertson in 2006. So my question to you is: are England moving forwards, backwards, or going nowhere?
Well, look, it's a hard one because I think we all know when we've talked about it on this show a number of times that you can exploit statistics to create whatever image you want in terms of, I'm not saying exploit that. I'm saying that.
I mean, the image is fairly stark.
It is, but what I mean is you can be bad, but obviously still make some improvements is what I'm saying. I think there are some individuals that I think have progressed in English. I just think at the moment there is clearly something that isn't going right. I think that for me, the defence is really the issue. I think in international rugby the spaces and margins are closed down. So attack it can give or take. But I think if you look at the moments in that game, the line breaks, the one-on-one missed tackles, the structural bits, being cut 2 or 3 times, that Jack Conan run straight through the middle. Sometimes they happen, but there was 3 or 4 in that game. And for me, I think Tins has got a really salient point about kind of game management and when you bring players on, when you don't, what the psychological elements of bringing players who are super eager against players that are struggling, and do you change on a positive or a negative? I think it's something to think about. But for me, that's really a bit of an issue. And I don't know Joe Lab at all. Obviously played against him. He was a great player. I think if you look at the kind of fabric of most teams that I've been part of, or most teams that do extremely well, you have a very kind of aggressive, characterful defence coach that really sets the tone and the agenda. And I think everyone in that white shirt is putting every bit of effort they can in. And I think that unfortunately, sometimes lost in the hyperbole, and the conversation is that they're maybe not making enough effort. I think everybody's trying their hardest. I think at the moment there are some nuances around kind of under pressure, making the right decisions, the cohesion to make the right decisions, feeling confident to do what you need to do. And I think one of those areas is a shining example of defence. So the honest answer is, I don't think England have progressed because they can't win. And a team that can't win after a consistent amount of time together, you've got problems.
What do you see from the outside looking in?
Has England gone ahead since 2019? Absolutely not. They've gone backwards. They were trendsetters, they were pace setters, they were leading the charge. Have they gone forward since 2022, 2023? Yes, I believe so. Because I find them more intriguing, tough to beat, closer margins. Yes, I know it's never going to be enough for you, but look at the oppositions that you had. I mean, it's you could face Romania 4 times in November, you'd get some wins. You only went against Australia.
Wow, so generous.
Mercy.
No, but you know what I mean.
The only two that we
I
had
like to win French.
Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand. No, so what I'm trying to say is that it's being that no man's land is a horrible moment in international rugby, because like Hask said, the margin of difference is actually so small that you can look like a fool but while still being excellent.
Yeah.
Now, what I would be more worried about if I was an England fan is the Champions Cup results. That's the one that's scaring the life out of me. Leicester Tigers, 80 points at Toulouse. We're not talking losing by 5 points. Saracens losing at home to Castres, who rotated their squad. That's what really is worrying me. If you got a right platform, you're putting all the ingredients together, it's going to come at some point, some way, somehow. Okay, especially with the talent that's there now. But given that lack of platform behind, given that lack of solidity behind, I would be more scared about the rest. Now, is England ready to beat teams like Ireland? We'll see about France this weekend, or New Zealand, South Africa. No, that's just blunt yes/no answer. They haven't done it. I don't think they can do it. Now, are they a bad team? No. Are they going forward? Yes, I believe so, and I agree with the individual performances. You see some sides who are very, very solid. Now, just before the Six Nations, when I saw the Champions Cup results, I was like, shit, it's worse than I thought. Because 80 points is not, maybe I took it badly because it was Leicester, but 80 points is not just a defeat. It's spanking after spanking. Toulouse and Bordeaux have put 50 points to the last England teams, English clubs that came over to them at the last 4 games. Yeah. It's not just a one-off.
When you compare Ireland, where every level feeds the one above, and it is streamlined from school through to the national team, everyone, of course, there are challenges, but the greater purpose is very, very joined up, and everybody knows what everyone's doing in the men's side of the game in order to make the Ireland team as successful as possible. It's the same in New Zealand. France don't necessarily have that nature of lineup, but what they do have is an enormous commercial market. They've got a generational team that have come through, the best player in the world, and the finances to make things happen.
They also sorted out a lot of their crap with the
exactly
England.
For sure.
Exactly.
But
we were forced to because of the World Cup.
But when you then look at England, where we've got a new PGP, which everyone has celebrated, and the first thing that's fallen out of that is that Phil Morrow, the Saracens head of fitness, has not been allowed to join the RFU because the other 9 clubs were worried about what he would know on England duty relative to what he could then take back to Saracens. Rob Baxter has come out and said this new PGP has caused confusion as to whether Manny Feo-Weboso should or shouldn't have shoulder surgery, and therefore there's been a dithering. So that already on that level, we're wondering whether that is, I'm sure it'll bear fruit in due course. But the question I'm trying to get to is English rugby set up for success off the field to drive success on the field, or are they trying to sellotape together a team from all sorts of challenges?
I think we got Bill to basically admit that if you had a choice to restart it again or continue from where you are, you've got to rebuild it.
Right. Do you think this England team is fighting with one arm tied behind its back relative to France, Ireland, and probably Scotland?
I think Ireland. So from the report that we did, from Leonard Curtis' report, Ireland's pathway and structure and business and ability to deliver was proven and shown really good. Obviously, you've got 4 regions as or 4 provinces as Shane Horgan talked about. So you've got ageing players. There's only a certain pool, so that's one negative. But actually, that's fine. France have taken them fucking years to get it right.
Going through a very, very long shit period.
Like you were part of it. Mark Leveron just giving people the team like on the day, or like giving the lineup.
Is France's success structural or a generational group of players?
I find this quite not ironic, but almost funny, because the list of excuses or reasons why performance is not there, Hask said, I repeated 15 times while I was an international player. It's not the reason why we didn't win, but we did not win. This grey zone of international rugby that's so ruthless between the top and the bottom, I was exactly in it. We were the French team that thought this year we're going to go to Ireland and we're going to do well, and we just not off it. And there was all the excuses of the training squad is too little, the clubs don't really care about the French team, etc., the injury, the intensity, the etc. So it's taken us forever, and it's taken us to be pushed down the stairs because of the World Cup 2023. You'd say, stop your shit, put the weapons down. We have no other reason than to focus only on the country and on the World Cup 2023. It's not about the federation, it's not about the league, it's about France first. Okay, that's the only time. And it's still a very, very fragile environment. They had to that deal that was the allocation of international players to the French team had to be renegotiated. All of a sudden, it wasn't the same thing, because Bernard Laporte wasn't the federation president, who was, the mastermind behind Fabien Galtier's success, who appointed Fabien Galtier, who pushed him in 2019 as assistant coach, and he was basically, everybody knew he was going to be the next head coach, and he's not there, and the clubs are getting a little bit tighter, and the TV rights, etc. So there's a lot to it. It's a very fragile model, but when I hear the financial power of France, lads, let's get the numbers out. It's not exactly what you think. Without billionaires behind, we would not be where we are. But we launched something that was losing a ton of money for a long, long time. And now that you're winning, all of a sudden it's catching up and it's working. But it's still very fragile. You're saying the French setup. The French setup is still... the guys are contracted by their clubs. It's still not easy. They still play 40 games a year. It's not ideal. So we could get a little bit better. The one element that I think nobody's really highlighting is... You said about winning, but what kind of winning? What's international winning? It used to be, when I was a player, you need to play like in Super Rugby. It's about speed, fitness, accuracy. Fuck your scrums and your mauls like in top 14. You guys are middle-aged, how do you say that? You guys are like cavemen.
Yeah.
That's not international rugby. You will never make it. We were tough, we were ruthless, we were physical, we were great in the set piece. And as soon as you got to international rugby, you're too fat, you're too slow, right? That was the answer. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we caught up. England were very proactive in trying to be that fast, pace-setting type of rugby. Who wins at the moment? It's not so much a fast rugby, it's Africa. Yeah. It's the demolition international rugby. And I don't know if it's because the adaptation of the rules. I don't know if it's because they've won, and when you win, you sort of dictate what type of rugby should look like. I don't know that. But New Zealand doesn't win the World Cup for the last 2 years. South Africa does. The most physical teams do tend to impose their force. Yep. And that's why I'm going back to the top 14 being so intense. Finally is the number one weapon to prepare for international rugby, because you're used to that intensity, to that ruthlessness, to this intensity that will prepare you to absolutely everything in front of you. And that's why I think it's a stone in your shoe, un caillou dans la chaussure for all the English, not to be prepared, not to be challenged for the Premiership to be so weak at the moment. Then they get spanked in Champions Cup, and then they get found they get found out in international rugby.
So very, very interesting point.
Just to follow on from that, it's not we're poles apart. They're still quality sides. I just think there's a lot of elements that behind the scenes are not in line. But then when it comes down to marginal gains, so Dave Brailsford, if he came into rugby, for example, with the Sky guy, cycling guy, if he came into it, well, he's not. He's maybe not a great example, but when he was at British Cycling, the marginal gains, if you were to look at are we helping ourselves, the answer is no. I don't think we are as bad as these people are saying, and I don't think we are a million miles away, but I think international rugby's come down to those very small margins, and at the moment we are on the wrong side consistently of those margins.
I mean, if you go down to it, I think there's nuances in there, but you still go back to this game. If we talk about England versus Ireland, meters were the same. Pretty much bang on the same. Defenders beat us, we won that one just. Clean line breaks, bang on the same. Gain line successes, we technically had, pretty much bang on the same, 62-6, 61. The only place where we lacked was passes and offloads. And I think offloads is a big thing that we don't do enough. Steve plays even though he's trying to play an expansive game, it's still quite a very safe one. But then you see Genji throw that one, so the players can do it.
Marginally forward.
And then it comes down to 3 poor technique or maybe defensive things and execution from Ireland, that a team that is used to winning most of its games, knows how they play. Clive Woodward, one thing he did say that was quite good, he's like, we once scored a try. Jason Robertson just stood on his own on the right hand side, on his own on the left hand side scrum, everyone lined that way, just passed it to J Rowe, and he beats someone and scores.
That was in France,
and he's like, when he's on his own, just give him the ball. And it was like that with James Lowe. It was like, when we've got space, just give it to him.
Yeah.
And sometimes you take those advantage of people who are just on form. He's come back from injury exceptionally well and fresh, and obviously unbelievably hungry, and looked really powerful. And he's caught.
But how many stats, by the way? How many? But like, if you hadn't looked at that, he hadn't mentioned that, which he always comes into. You'd start buying into the fact that it's like end of the world stuff. Do you know what I mean? I just think my point was everything ends up cumulative to build the bigger whole, which is a consistent international winning side, which I don't think we have the elements, but we're not that far off.
No. Tackles, Ireland missed more tackles.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's
153 made, 156 made by England,
okay.
33 missed by Ireland.
The only counter argument is I think England were in the game in the 55th minute because Ireland missed so many opportunities, especially in the first half.
Yeah, I think they did.
But that's what doesn't come out.
But then they also would say that England's back row made really key turnovers.
That's true.
That time too.
But what I'm trying to the people who watch and listen to this, who have watched what happened in Dublin on Saturday, I'm trying to give them something which they can clean up. Now, we're saying it's probably not structural. England should be able to overcome. And
pure answer. Can they beat France Saturday? Yes, they can.
Okay.
They're a good enough team to beat France.
Sure.
Are they favourites? No. Will they beat them 10 times if they play 10 times? No. But can they beat them? Yeah.
If we went, right, what do you reckon France... I assume everyone will think, France will win.
Yes. I mean, yes, unless you get another England-Ireland from from last year.
And then how many points are you giving them?
I should think it'll be 13 to 15.
Well, that's a lot. What difference?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I think this French team is...
I was saying, my thing would be, I would have thought their bookies would have been up at 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
But they're not. They're down at 5.
Yeah.
So they still think it's going to be
because England have a habit of reaction.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to find, and you're absolutely right. Every time England play, they can win. Yeah. The point is, for the last 12 months, they haven't won the big game. Yeah. So I'm trying to find something that people can go, okay, cool, I can see that. It's not structured, and you're absolutely right, because the biggest answer to that is South Africa's structure is almost non-existent. They pick players from all over the world. They come together, and they are far greater than the sum of their parts. Yeah. It's not structural. In this part of the world, it's maybe coming. They're young players. I suppose the question is, particularly when you talk about South Africa, if rugby is essentially a bar fight with the ball, is that where potentially England don't have what South Africa have, France have right now? Is this England team nasty enough?
Look,
how many of them do you want alongside you as to still start flying?
I think in terms of physicality, they are. What you're asking is, are they ruthless enough in those do or die situations? Are they getting it done? So my example to that would be, on that on the last Sheehan try and the Bundyaki try, did all three of them put their body on and soul on the line? You could basically argue I think you could say they didn't, but at the same time, I don't know what it's like to tackle Bundyaki in a corner and actually try and smash him into touch.
Well, you've taken a lot though, so I mean, it's like
but I would always say that. I would have ended that. There is no tomorrow. There's no stopping. There's no having a think about it. If I'm Alex Mitchell, I can't give this guy. Look, I can't let him dictate to me. I've got to go get him. Or if I'm Marcus Smith, I've got to go get him. And sometimes there was that little pause, and you don't have time to pause. Now, does that come down to everything we've talked about before? But they're definitely not bad players. But is there a way of changing that, or is it just with Marcus, maybe he's out of position, so he's not used to doing what he is because he doesn't really do it. He'll go and hit someone at 10, but then at fullback it's so different. You've got space between you and the man, so sometimes you pause. Well, you've got to actually go shut him down.
But why would you play that then if you're not used? That's what I never understand.
Well, yeah, but then you're going back to. But look, if I go through that England team that they picked, I liked it. Now you could argue a hooker would maybe argue that your back row. Do you have another line out option? But. And if you look at if you look at the stats, they were both there to stop them from playing. Got some great turnovers. That I think one made 18 tackles, one made 15 tackles. And then Ben Earl carried most of the meters and did the sort of interlinky bit, and he was only on for 50 minutes. So I think. There could be things you tweak, but I actually quite like the bench for the first time. I thought it was actually a good bench to do. But again, we still haven't found a way of manipulating that use of it, I think.
I think to answer your question, it's interesting because when you look at you look at the opposition, you look at some like South Africa, for example. I know they're all big, gnarly men, but there's a certain level of kind of Etzebeth.
RG Snowman.
Yeah, like look at their back row.
Bomb squad.
Yeah,
back row.
Jasper Visa. That one guy that comes on, the one who is like built like a mole. Quagga. Yeah, all these guys are he's just like like a pyramid. I think it's interesting because there's the same people that always lead from the front. Ellis Gaines that never backs down. Luke Cowan-Dickie, a very physical man. George Martin, always there in the thick of it. Tom Curry again has that real dog in him. I think Ollie Lawrence carries like he's got a real dog in him. I think
Prendergast will remember that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the guys kind of. I don't know if you were looking at people on paper. I don't know enough about. I don't know them personally to know. But I don't think you can fault effort. But actually, I think in international rugby, unfortunately, however everybody would like it to be a free-flowing game, ultimate violence, ability, aggression is kind of what gets you through. And I think there are times where this side absolutely deliver, but there are also times when you've got to question. If I can name 6 of the players or 5 players I've just picked out of the hat, there should be a few more along those lines that you would go, fuck me, if it kicked off, I wouldn't want them in there. And the question is, are they like that? I don't know. I don't know them well enough, but I think when you look at other teams that you've played with, you sort of go, that'll be a lot more of an uncomfortable ride. Like if we did kick off, or if I was going to ask someone to be ultimately physical, because there's a big difference, 2 sides of the ball. I know lots of players that would love a carry like absolute machines. It's a very different mentality to hit someone hard, and that's the difference. And I'm always really interested when I see players. Great. One thing running fucking million miles an hour into someone, it's another one putting your head in someone's knees or body, or getting them or attacking them late or whatever it might be, or those little bits of controlled violence you have to have. And you find out about people, and there's some guys that just don't want it. Guys you tackle up high, it's very easy to put big shots up high because you've got that safety. It looks good. It's a different kettle of fish to put your fucking head by someone's shins and absolutely plough into them. And I wonder how many of them would be prepared to do that. I don't know.
I just think a lot of England fans at the moment, and my thought post, I don't blame the players. I actually was really excited by the team announcement on Tuesday. You can tinker and tweak if you've got personal preferences.
Yeah, there's not many people in there. There are many people. Oh my God, why is he not playing?
But I think the problem for a lot of England fans is it's just years and years and years of mediocrity, and I think a lot of it's so hard to find an answer for people who love watching England in the Six Nations as to why they are just.
But they say that.
What it feels like at the moment is that it is, and already they're saying Borthwick's got 2 games now to save his career, and if that is where it ends up, I think he's a great coach.
2 teams that are above him in the
for sure.
league.
He is a great coach. He was a part of the mastermind of Japan beating South Africa. He won. He was tied a Lions series in New Zealand as assistant to Warren Gatland. He won the Premiership with Leicester. He took England to a World Cup final. And the reason I say that is when you look at what has happened to English rugby, Woodward quits, blows the whole thing up with Francis Barron as he goes. Robinson comes in, is sacked. Ashton comes in, is sacked. Johnson takes over, quits off the back of 2011. Lancaster comes in, is sacked off the back of 2015. Eddie Jones comes in, is sacked just before a World Cup. Borthwick comes in. ...
Yeah, but you're missing out with the fact we went on an unbeaten run, a world record unbeaten run. We won in Australia, we won a Grand Slam, won 6 Nations.
But these are
so people got fucking really. Honestly, the thing about sport, people got really short memories, and Marcus Rashford's a really example.
Well,
you're good at 19.
Marcus Rashford's a great example. Like 2 years ago, whatever it was, he was on form. It was unbelievable. Everyone absolutely loved him. Now he's been sacked off Man United. People have got very short memories in sport, and because of the emotional investment into it. I think England fans going about long suffering. I think fuck off. I don't think it's that bad.
My point. Well, yes, but my response to that would be that of course England can pull things together, but the system on that basis is not setting them up for success.
But you get lost again. I think in after 2019, I think even in 2020 we won the Autumn Nations Cup, but we were playing awful rugby. I think it's the fact that those last few years of Eddie, we played so shit rugby that was just sort of kick, get to an age, just kick, any doubt, kick. You were hitting over 50 kicks a game. Yeah. We hit 38 on the weekend. They hit 33. We're now talking about margins, and I believe this England team just needs that one bit, like a couple of big wins, because it's not going to take one. We saw that with Ireland. It doesn't take one. They backed up the performance. but they need to get a little run where they can go, actually, fucking right, lads, we know what we're doing and we can relax into it. And at the moment, they're just hitting that spot. You don't know what they go through like on the field when they realise all the subs are coming on. They go, fuck, is it going to go pear-shaped again? And I think we've all played in teams where you've gone out there and you know when something's not right or you've got a weakness here or there. And I just think I think your question at the start was the most poignant one, is how long would I be happy to continue down this path? I still think this is a good team. I think the bench that he picked was better, so I think that's a step forward. They still just had a brain fart in the middle, summed up, with Caden Murley, when obviously he's tapped the first one that's gone back, so he knows he's had to pick it up, and then he picks one in the dead ball area and his head's gone, I must have tapped it back, so I need to get out, and then he gets carried and moved out for a 5-yard line out. It's just, I hope they can find a way of just, and I think it's leave the starting players on longer and don't mess around with the team as much. You don't have to put a bench on. No. Okay, leave the first team, right? Fucking do it for the full 80, and if we need to, we'll make some changes.
I do think Tim's pointing out again, the people about, are there any miracles riding over the hill that were going to dramatically change everything? No, I think if you brought a new coach in, you'd probably have that sort of spike of new broom or new brush sweeps, or that kind of new mentality, that boost of confidence, potentially a different game plan. But there aren't amazing players hiding under the bed.
I actually think you need to flip it back and go, we need some consistency behind the players.
Yep. Well, there is a big argument that I know we've heard it's coming, but there is a big argument that teams have to go through periods of barren and fallow results in order to get the cohesion required to then explode into the scene. And that is proven with the great England teams of the last 30, 40 years.
But you still need consistency behind your coaching team. If you're selling the dream or you're selling a perception of something, if you keep changing key members within that perception, then you're always changing your defensive structure, or you're always changing your attacking structure, or your first phases suddenly change, or what do you want to do at scrums change, your plan change. And I think that would be your biggest thing, is you need some consistency back there. You need to set on your team that you can actually work with. And
I just think as well, I think this side, the maturity of the side will develop into hardened people. It was very interesting when I had this conversation with which coaching staff, but they were looking at Jack Willis and guys like that, and they said exactly the same thing. When you look at the England back row, were you really intimidated by Jack Willis, I think Tom Curry and Ben Earls? And the honest answer was not down to quality of players, but probably not. Jack Willis, for example, has gone off to Toulouse, and there's no quiet games in the top 14 anymore. It's all big, massive men. It's very physical, and he has become battle hardened. He's a European Cup winning player. He's a Premiership or top 14. Winner. He's been tried, tested. He's playing with absolute world-class players. He will have learned. He will have developed. He's going to come back a hardened man. This England team will have to harden. Whether Steve Borthwick lasts. But there's
no point, because that's exactly what Sinclair said to us. He's going to Toulon to get his respect back.
Yeah.
So you should be, as an England coach, going, well, if you have to go over there to get it because that's what he thinks is the best, then maybe you go, well, why are we stopping people who are going over there?
Yeah, he also wants a bit of sun.
Yeah. You've always got to
cash.
You've always got to test yourself. I just think, I think you can't be hard on this England team in terms of effort, determination. I think, there's still players that have got to grow into international rugby. I think the margins are very small. I think there are lots of positives. I think, unfortunately, it has coincided with international rugby being the closest it's ever been. Yeah. I don't think there are many miracle people out there that can solve it. I think Borthwick will probably lose his job. I don't see him. I don't see it being turned around. I think they will change it. I don't know who they'll bring in, but I think, I just think it's going to be an escalation of what we're doing it better, because there isn't any miracles. I don't know what, you can only play to the talent you've got in front of us. If there's some mad game plan that I haven't thought about, people are like, people with better minds than I haven't thought about. No. Like, you can't play like France because not France. You can't play like New Zealand because not New Zealand. You can only play with what's in front of you. And I think we can do what we're doing better. And defensively is one area we can do better. I think we can do more emotion. I think we can be more physical. And I think we can be physical for longer and more ruthless for longer. And that's what will win the games. And that's the end of it. And then when you take out referees' interpretations, the odd drop ball, the turnovers, the fact that the opposition are going to win turnovers because that's how rugby works. You might lose a scrum, you're going to lose some lines. If you take all those intangibles out, what are the foundations, right? We're just not quite getting it right. And I think I just think it's not the end of the world. I think there are some other teams doing better, and I think when you look at Ireland, I think Dan Sheehan coming on, that was a great play, 20-metre spin pass from a hooker to James Lowe back inside, James Lowe beating people for fun. They're in better form. Would James Lowe be the first name on the team sheet for the Lions? Yes. Would you swap? Would you have Marcus Smith probably over Prendergast? Yes. Would you have Gibson Park over Alex Mitchell? Yes. Like there's give and take on each side. But at the moment when you're playing against France, how many English players would get in a united France versus England side?
What's the answer?
Well, I think Ollie Lawrence maybe off that performance maybe I don't know. Hard line.
It's all about the culture. If honestly, Saturday, start by putting all the ingredients on your side. Yeah. Start by having a jam-packed Twickenham or Allianz or whatever you want to call it that is roaring and that is seriously playing its role. Yeah. Start by having press to stay off the players' heads and just let them concentrate on doing their absolute best.
That's why we've lost that really.
Yeah. No, but generally do everything you can on Saturday. Yeah. Then after that, for the next 3 games are must-wins. Yeah. Because if you're talking about top level, yes, England have to beat the other 3 because they are good enough to do so. Yeah. Then sort out your Premiership and decide what your culture is going to be, what your identity of rugby is going to be. Are you going to be South Africa demolition men? Nobody else is South Africa. They are the only ones doing that. Are you going to be physical while still having a little twist of improvisation, intuition? That's what we try to do. That's very much up to us. We couldn't do it 10 years ago. We're doing it now with a bit more confidence. But figure out what's the future of England rugby going to be.
If you were coming in at the head of the RFU or Steve Borthwick, or you came in, right? I thought with for example, when they appointed Eddie Jones was the most un-RFU decision the RFU have ever made. Yeah. Because he wasn't controversial, wasn't English, didn't come from the mould. They tried everything else. They'd shoehorned school teachers in there. They'd done everything they could do to find somebody, and they went with him, and he gave us the best record we've had, and his win rate was better than Clive Woodward's. We just didn't win a World Cup, but he got us to a World Cup final. The RFU and people in charge of rugby have to ask yourself consistently: are we doing everything to make this England side the best possible? Are we getting the best coaches from the world? Does Steve Borthwick have the best assistant coaches to help him do his job?
Well, he had 2 of them, but they've walked. One of them had a job to walk to.
Why did they walk? So then you've got to ask yourself, then you've got to look at the next thing. If we do get rid of Steve Borthwick, for example, where do you get the best players from? If some of them playing abroad, you have to pick them. The honest answer is, if you're not doing everything you're prepared to do to make your team win, then shut up about it. And that's the honest answer. Stop moaning and whining. It's simple business. It's simple thing. Are you doing everything to make as much money or as much success as you can? If the answer is no, then don't worry about it. Let's just take part in it and do what we can do, and that's the end of it. But Ben's also right. If this is a message to rugby writers, negativity sells papers. We know this, but it would be quite nice just to get behind the team for once.
Yeah, just build this game up. Build this game up, because at the end of the day, if I'm an England player, this is the game I want to play. Like, you have got arguably South Africa, all right, but the best teams in the world, and I think is up there with South Africa in terms of depth, in terms of ability to play. I'd actually say they've probably got a slightly better variance in how they can play. We know what you get with South Africa, and it's relentless and it's unbelievably good. But French can bring physicality and play that way, but then they can also bring Dupont, offload, Jouet, all that sort of stuff. So they've got multiple sides to it. And I just think this is the only game I'd want to play right now off the back of Ireland. People question you, and you've just got to go out there and show that.
It's a man test,
you've got to control it, because it can escalate the other way one time. But you've got to. I would love to be playing this game at Twickenham, because
it's also
the crowd at Twickenham have been amazing over the past autumn series.
The Allianz crowd,
the Allianz Twickenham Stadium has been outstanding, the atmosphere.
As long as they stick with it.
Because I think they enjoy the actual the team that is picked. They prefer, because it answers all the questions, and hopefully will deliver.
So it's a really nice, because I want to come on to France.
Yes.
And thank you for being patient.
We have gone on a lot.
But actually, it's been really interesting. I never would have had you down as the voice of reason, but congratulations on your new hat.
Just objectively.
The Continental Tyres question of the week has come from Telegraph readers. You guys have done a Q&A with the Telegraph.
Actually, Alex, Michael has.
I think it's you next week.
You're doing it next week. Richard Taylor asks, when will we see the England management team stop the platitudes and tell it like it is? I doubt there's an England fan in the world that isn't fed up with, inverted commas, we have a lot of good things to take away and build on, close inverted commas.
I think, for me, we've talked about the players being kind of quite sanctioned in terms of what they can say. I don't know what you want the coaches to come out and say, because they are setting the tone for the players in the week. Would you?
Do you want both of us to be like Eddie? 'Cause
Yeah,
that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but
and
also
you didn't like that either.
Yeah, but I think I don't know what you want to is point out the bleeding obvious. Nobody thinks this is acceptable. Nobody thinks it's good. What would you rather, him come out and slam all the players, cause an absolute rift in the change room? Because for you as a fan, you put this down and pick this up once a week. They have to go and live and breathe this. I think from a player's perspective, coming out and not addressing, saying, do you know what, that wasn't good enough, is fine. A head coach coming out and painting a completely dire picture, you should be objective. But there were things to take out of it positive. We got line breaks. We did do some good bits of it. Marcus Smith did play well.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you know what I would get rid of? Is the Instagram posts of anthem shot, taking off tracksuit top, hugging off the back of the try with a "sorry we didn't get the result this week." I do a little piece to camera saying I'm really sorry. That
but
wasn't quite
I wouldn't apologise, because the point is
you retired 5 years ago. You should be
no. I'm saying that you, as a player,
thanks for emailing in, Richard. I hope you enjoyed the response to your Continental Tyres question of the week.
As a player, you need to be able to address it, but you also just need to turn around and go, look, that wasn't good enough. We know it wasn't good enough. That's sad, but don't have to put move on or onwards and upwards, all that nonsense. Just own it and move on, because you have to move on.
I'll be very surprised if Richard emails in again on week 2. Good luck if you do. That was our Continental Tyres question of the week, and it's certainly got a response. How good were France? Well, that tells you what you need to know.
Finally.
When was the last time an England fan did that?
It was like you just heard the cork or a red wine pop again.
No. At least we can have a bit of a laugh and a smile. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect at all. I thought they were good, but they weren't outstanding. I was a little bit disappointed by the Welsh intensity, to be honest. I think they received quite a lot, and they let France just played and dictate their tempo. But yes, the Antoine Dupont step, and I think he broke poor Liam Williams' hip. By doing it, it was brilliant. And seeing some dominance, some guys coming off the bench doing well. Very disappointing, angry Romain Tamac throwing his shoulder. That's just silly. It doesn't look like him, doesn't feel like him, and there's gonna be some consequences to that. So other than that, a good opening, never easy. A little bit less. Remember we said about the French sort of system not being absolutely perfect. A little bit less preparation time, and playing on Friday night. So I was thinking, it's not exactly the comfort that they were used to, and they dealt with it beautifully. But disappointed by the Welsh performance, disappointed by the Romain Tamac red card. Overall, obviously very happy by the offensive display.
What did you make of France?
Yeah, I think they are where they are and what they are at the moment. I think they've got quality throughout the pack. I think they've got physicality, as Ben said there, in terms of they can sometimes just Gregory Aldrit was outstanding again. He's been better without a head guard on.
Long time he hasn't played that well. He played really well on Friday.
Played really well,
and he looks sexy as hell. Just putting out
that's more
Player
important.
of the match, I think he was.
But yeah, I mean, I just think they have balance throughout it, and they just know what they're doing. They're so comfortable in what they're doing. It's like Dupont has. They're all like the hive mentality that Hask always uses about Leicester. It's like they're all plugged into him. So wherever he goes, they know where they want him to put the ball. 3 sort of try assists, and they just make it look easy. But they don't necessarily play flat to the line. They sometimes play a bit deeper, allow people to have footwork. They'll have a variety of kicking games, kick a little bit more than most, but they do it in such a creative way, and it's just the balance that they have at the moment. And it's they are having to swap people in. Obviously Fiku's not around, so someone has to come in, and then you have these changes, but they're happening naturally and just opening gaps where people then come in, and their strength in depth fills that gap, and you go, actually we've got another guy we can rely on. And
you're missing on Damien Pono and
It's ridiculous.
What's interesting is you would look at. I'll rephrase it. I always say it's interesting. What's interesting? Did it again?
Right. That's interesting. I'm going to rephrase that.
Sorry.
Interesting.
France. Interesting you are. Would you say that France are coached to do that, or that is the natural ability of their players
coached
and of the
what?
league? What Mike's saying about those kind of nuanced ability to play flat, to play deep, the footwork, the desire to play. Because if you're an England fan, the one thing they'll always do is watch other teams and go, why can't we do that? We need to get Sean Edwards. We need to play that breed of rugby.
It's a mix of both.
I think that's what I mean. I was going to ask. I think some of it is naturally naturally talented. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I always get a little bit embarrassed when you talk about the French system and the setup, etc. We're also blessed with the golden generation. Period. How many times are we going to have an Antoine Dupont with us? And then you said, and he's the talisman of the confidence of everyone. Everybody wants to follow him.
What's he like within that squad? Is he one of the lads, as in it's all equal, or does everyone look up to him because he is that much better than...
And we're very lucky because he can never get too big-headed, because I said this to you, because he started rugby age 6-7 with Anthony Gelon, with Greg Aldrit, with all those guys. So he's got his brothers in arms that so happen to play with him in Toulouse and for the French team. So he's just a normal lad. He's a naturally very shy, very discreet type of person.
Just like me.
You see, Hask,
he's the complete
opposite
inversion of James Haskell.
Exactly. Yeah. No, his parents are farmers. His father passed away, unfortunately, very close to the mom. Goes roughly there, an hour and a half away from Toulouse, and shovels pig shit most Sundays. And then on a Monday, he'll be doing a photo shoot for Louis Vuitton. That's his life at the moment. Yeah. So he's a very balanced, very discreet, very quiet one of the lads. He's not the most vocal during the week, but when he speaks, everybody starts listening. But he's not the motivator. He's not the guy who puts the music in the change room. Neither is he the guy who would bollock everybody during the week. But when he speaks, it resonates. Now, he also has, and he's earned it, he has the ability to take risk. If you take the first try of the French team against Wales, he goes back into the blind side roughly 60 seconds before that first try and kicks a terrible kick to Atisogbe, who didn't react to him.
Right, yes.
And everybody looks at each other, and he looked bad. He took a risk. He went on his own. They took the M25 around the Welsh defense, and he was going nowhere sideways. And honestly, if he would have been anybody else, you'd be like, he's lost his marbles. 10 seconds later, he does the same thing, which honestly is not... You should not be running sideways on a rugby pitch with no real idea or clear idea what you're doing. You should not be doing that. Yeah. Normally, you get caught up by a defender and then you lose 10 meters. You're like, run forward and then get us to get going. But then the second time, he checks it and it's perfect. So he has the ability to take a chance, to make mistakes, and to be backed up by his teammates and by his coaching staff. So to answer your question, Hask, it's one, we have a golden generation, period. We have guys. Thomas Ramos is not Fabien Galtier, who told him how to do a 50-22 every time he spots it. I was doing with ITV. He caught the ball. Dan Bigger said 50-22 before he kicked it, because he's seen him do it on top 14. Every time he's in the 40 meter and he catches the ball, he's always looking for it. And he says he's on his right foot, he's going to do it. Boom. And he got it. So Thomas Ramos, that's not Fabien Galtier. Antoine Dupont, that's not Fabien Galtier. Winnie Antonio, that's not Fabien Galtier. However, Fabien Galtier did something that he's consistently backed them. Because yes, we have a golden generation. We have one Grand Slam in 4 years. It's good. It's not fantastic either. We only won it in 22. We fell on our faces a couple of times. We were meant to beat England at Twickenham. Mario Toje scoring a try in that driving maul. We lost. We were meant to do all that, and we didn't. We messed it up. We lost to Scotland at home last game of Six Nations 2020.
Yours was mainly the over emotion of red cards, wasn't it, for that period?
So we've messed it up too. But he's back to them. There's talent, and there's a capacity to make mistakes and get up, because they're a really tight unit. So it was.
How fascinating is that about Dupont, for example, right? Because if you were to believe...
I'm going to add some more stats.
Go on, you add some stats. Go on, add stats first.
The balls have all got monitors now about speed and everything else.
My ball's got monitors on them, but that's part of the divorce settlement.
I don't need the data from those, I'm afraid.
A lot of high activity.
A lot
of G-force going through them. Concussion, they're both absolutely fucked. They don't know where they're coming or going like that.
But they obviously... Anyway, the sensors are in the balls. Very good. So he ranks the bottom out of
don't we all?
Out of speed.
That's great. That's about and the balls get
as the speed of the pass of all 12 scrum halves that made a pass on the weekend. So it just shows that he's never standing at the back of a ruck and just thinking, I'm going to wang this as fast as I can at the 10. He is, because arguably he's so strong, so if he did do that, I reckon he'd send it.
So we think Dupont does not have the fastest of the passes.
Because he's not Aaron Smith off the base.
He's got the slowest pass, but he's never doing it at the base where you take a long lever and you then just ping it at your 10. He is always, either it's a little pass out here or it's it's him just moving
sympathetic passes to somebody.
It's him moving 2 steps. It's the variety of everything. A lot of time he's in motion when he passes, so you're never going to put it as quick as when you step into it off the base of a ruck. And I think, I've said this for a while now, nines and their ability to not just not just pass from the base, so that defences can't just go, I'm going after 10. That is where the game is at the moment. Speed of ruck, and then having a 9 who's not just going to wing. Yes, if you get fast ball and you've made a deep line break, you can move it to 10 straight away. But also, Mitchell had the one where he just picked it up and ran. Unfortunately, he didn't drop Martin and he got buried. But we ended up scoring down the wing with Caden Murley afterwards.
I was just going to say about the Dupont thing. It's very interesting. But the thing about Dupont is, if you would have watched that objectively or thought you knew him, you would think it's a very different kind of character to what Ben's talked about. Because when you know what I mean, when people are talking about him as somebody, you'd think he's talking all the time. He's there. But the fact he's really reserved. So I think it's a really interesting thing. Because
do you see when the camera zooms on his face? I mean, he doesn't show any emotion on the pitch, right? You need to kick him in the nuts to get just a bit of something.
Yeah.
Don't kick mine because it's HIA. They've already got HIA. They're permanently concussed.
It's funny what you're saying, Tins, about the 9 doing something that's like Gibson Park going bullock shooting the blind side. I mean, they won the Grand Slam not so long ago, Ireland, just by him. Just as soon as there was only one defender, he would just shoot, and that's intuition. But also, what I found really fascinating about Dupont is that he got on the front stage by doing those highlight moves about those line breaks, carrying a little bit around the ruck, not passing, no speed of pass, like you said, individual brilliance. Then he actually totally changed because he was so looked from the defenses to the point where Hugo Mola, did you see that one? Start playing him outside centre? Because otherwise at 9 there was no space for him because everybody's focused on him, and if you have an army of 8 guys, then there's space out wide. And this game, I thought he allowed himself to re-carry a little bit more and to be a threat. But it's going to come with a couple of mistakes, and you need the coach who's going to back you.
We're going to talk about the head-to-head in just a moment. Very, very quickly, 2 passes to highlight. The Thomas Ramos ball over the top for Louis Biel-Barry.
Yeah,
just
good tempo.
Absolute. Putting the ball into space and then the man hit the line. The second, though, was the Dupont forward or not forward for the third try.
Does the ball travel forward? Absolutely. And you would be blind not to think. Are his hands going backwards? Yes. I think it's a stupid law, but that's the law. Because otherwise, if you don't do that, then you can click and zoom and have a Wimbledon, lines, and 9 tries out of 10 with a pass that's more than 5 meters will be disallowed.
So you're saying try stands?
Try stands, yes. Cool. With the current law, try stands. But does the ball move forward? Yes.
It's sort of, again, it's 45 points to nil. Sort of worried
I
about
know, but but Wales might say it was a third try at a crucial moment.
It is.
It doesn't.
What does the law say? What does the law say?
Yeah. I think we've opened the door to it being that your ball can move forward as long as the hands go backwards. So it's a no-brainer. I mean, there is something to be said about if you are running a cross field, which he does a lot, you're not actually creating the momentum by you going forward. So if he's moving directly across the field, there is no forward momentum, so none of his passes should go forward, even if it comes out of your back of your hand.
Physics.
But I think that, could you look into that? Because he sort of goes round and tries to spin it over the top, doesn't he? But at the end of the day, if it looks like his hands pass it backwards and it still goes forwards, they're the the apples.
Let's not look into it because we don't need somebody else in the bunker or whatever it is now pulling up things like that.
That's fair. Let the referee's decision.
I thought the pass you're going to talk about was that little flick pass by Cyril Bail. That was beautiful.
It was as well.
Just flicked
it. But when you've got the wind in the sails, he's a hell of a player. But he looks bigger as well. He looks like he's.
Yeah, he's a proper player.
They're all big.
Yeah.
Scotland's guy, the hooker gave out the back door for
Dave Cherry.
Cherry.
To White. That's
at 52 as well.
Yeah, that was a great work from him. Details.
Thanks, James. Get back to sleep. Any twists for France? I mean, and Jalabert at 10 or Ramos at 10?
I would. So number one, disappointed by Romain Tamac. He's a brilliant kid.
Sam Warburton picked something up. It looked like there was a previous
incident. It up in comms too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just copied. He just copied. He just copied.
Oh, really?
Just copied this.
Okay, fair play.
So there
I just saw
generally a slow tackle, a late tackle by was it Ben Thomas? Is that his name? And he gets back up, pushes him on the face a little bit. 60 minutes later, he throws his shoulder in his face. Look, you know how it is. Got angry. It's a cheap shot and it's silly. It's clumsy. It's not international rugby. Cool head. 70th minute, 35 points up. But he hadn't played for the French team for 18, 19 months. It was a big deal for him. He didn't come back. He missed the World Cup due to injury, and he missed the November test due to injury too. So it was a huge moment for him. He played well. He was a little bit quiet, but he did his job. And it's a shame. And you saw him walk down the couloir, and he looked particularly disappointed. He let the team down. He let himself down.
I love how we have a couloir and we have a tunnel in it. It's just everything's better in French.
Yeah, it is.
And so Ramos or Jalibert, I would have said Ramos straight away. I was against Ramos against the All Blacks in November, and he looked like the best number 10 I've ever seen. So I don't know anything about rugby, basically, but he was genuinely super good.
Yeah.
But he's come out after that game saying he prefers to play 15. Right, it's his position and he prefers it. And
but he wouldn't turn it down, would he?
No. Of course
you wouldn't. But you don't need to worry about it because Jalibert's out of this world anyway.
Well, yeah, except Jalibert in November wasn't due to not even be on the bench against the All Blacks. And when he had that chat with Fabien Galtier, he's like, "Yeah, well, you're not being on the bench because whatever happens, we have a second 10 option." He's like, "Who is it?" "Oh, it's Antoine." "So what do you mean? I'm not even second 10." So he thought he was like second 10 after Romain Ntamak, who got injured, and he's actually fourth 10 after Ntamak, after Ramos, and after Antoine Dupont. Yeah. So it was. I think it was a bit of It's the good thing about this French side is the dominance of Toulouse players.
Yeah.
The bad thing in my mind is that if you're not one of them, it's hard to. Because they know each other so well, they're so tight, they have such a unity between all of them that it's complicated. So I think Jalibert is going to have to be incredibly good to ever come. It's not 50-50. Ntamak will always be picked. He's a better defender. He's from Toulouse. He's got a better connection with Antoine Dupont. They literally can play blindfolded together, and that means something in international rugby. And so I would have thought Ramos at 10 for sure. And apparently, Jalibert stands a big chance of actually going back, and it will be a big coup. It would be a big decision, probably the biggest game that Mathieu Jalibert has ever played for the French team, because it's a little bit make or break. But in top 14, like Tins is saying, he is on absolute fire. Yeah. He also plays with Louis Biarré, who is unstoppable. Damien Penaud should come back. Yeah. So there's an argument to be made.
Fair play if Coach Galtier does have him back after
I didn't
walking
see that
out.
coming. Yeah.
Which I think
that would show that strength of a group of players.
Yeah.
If you can go, actually, I can understand why he's pissed off.
But you saw how much, like someone like Greg, Finn Russell, the Gregor Townsend, I know it wasn't you. Yeah. I know Jalibert didn't get on the piss, but if you have a row with a coach, more often than not, you lose that battle 9 times out of 10. You don't get the opportunity to come back, or if there's a big song and dance, the coach has to do a press conference how we sat down and aired our differences. Like, it's fucking international sport. How you'd be gutted to go thinking of a second choice to fourth choice. I would walk out and go, I'm not involved. I'd rather go out and play for my club. But it's a big difference between doing that, actually saying it, not talking about it, and then being welcome back. If you are, I think that's fair. That would be a really mark of a side that are doing everything to win, as opposed to doing everything to save face, do the political game, and kiss asses and make everyone happy.
I want to come on to predictions in a moment or two. What concerns, if any, do you have this weekend, or do you?
It's the food.
Do France arrive? The food, possibly.
The wine. It's just crap.
Do you have any concerns for France? I mean, it's England at Twickenham. Of course, there's going to be high emotion. Or do you think that this is a game that France really should be comfortable as favourites and ready to win?
They're comfortable, definitely not. Absolutely massive concerns. What are you on about? I mean, I know you guys.
You into a full sense of security. We're using every tactic we can.
I know you guys are struggling, but
you won 53-10 last time you rocked up there.
We also won by 3 points, and it wasn't in Lille. It was in Lyon, the last Six Nations game.
Lille, I beg your pardon.
No.
Lyon.
No.
It was in Lyon.
It was in Lyon, not Lille.
Okay, sorry.
Details.
Details, exactly.
Yeah.
No. It's definitely not.
That's what I do. How come you
get
away with
it's not a walk-in. It's definitely not a walk-in victory, and the boys will not think that. You still have to face the Curry brothers, and you still have to stop Ben Earl. You still have to control Lee Lawrence. Yes, are they favourites? Yes, but we're favourites talking 51-49, whatever it is. That's the difference of international level. Except if you're always 51-49, then and you win everything, you're world champion. There will be no 53-10 this weekend. Do I think France have got what it takes to beat England at Allianz Twickenham thingy? Yes. Am I worried that Thibaut Flamand is injured? Yes, and we will really need him because Romain at 4 wasn't the greatest experience. He's a fantastic player, but he's a 6, 7, 8, whatever, but not a 4, so we need him. I'm a little bit worried with the overutilization of Winnie Antonio. I think we're so linked to him, and we need him so badly. And as soon as he's not there or not exactly on form, it's complicated. We need Damien Penaud, even though Atisogbe did really well. I really like the combo Louis Bielbiaré, Damien Penaud. That's perfect because he just brings. Atisogbe is basically a copy of Louis Bielbiaré. Electric, fast, very good finisher, but he's not going to be your headless chicken like we would need. We are missing Romain Tanak, who got a red
card.
card.
The only team where you need a headless chicken.
Yeah, we need it.
We don't want a headless chicken.
You said it. You said it. We need that intuition. We need the creativity. We need not. It's not just game plan. So no, we are. Look, we're missing Ntamak. How is Jalibert going to fit in? He's going to try too hard because it's a huge game for him. We're missing Thibaut Flamand. So no, it's definitely not a walk-in. But I'm really looking forward to it.
It will be interesting how England.
You've got to manage their penalties.
But
just looking at that, Wales gave 13 away. Can't do that.
You can't do that against them. How they would deal with Dupont, because.
How would you deal with him?
Well, so whenever we've had
before the game,
I'd sneak into his hotel room. I'd poison his porridge in the morning.
What's she called? Susie.
Wendy, the waitress.
I
don't think he eats porridge.
He probably doesn't.
What
does he eat?
Nobody eats porridge.
Benedict.
Yeah, he just I don't know. He's just probably a machine. I don't know. Wherever he does, I'd get it.
It's like he's like Gaston. I eat 12 dozen eggs.
Yeah, he does. I put him
exploding. How do England stop Dupont? If you stop Dupont, it just opens up elsewhere.
But when we've prepared for these games before, what I really liked about Paul Gustard's coaching, in particular as a defence coach, was when you're facing almost insurmountable odds, Paul Gustard would always focus on picking out 2 or 3 talismanic players that the side would have, and you'd spend all week, someone like Dupont would have we'd have a target on his head. So someone in training would pretend to be like Danny Kerr, if he wasn't involved, would be Dupont, and he would try to play like Dupont. So every time we would have men trying to get to him all the time. Every time he had the ball or even just pass, I'd be tackling him, tiring him out. I would, illegally tackling him to the floor, getting up, tiring him out, dragging him down, stopping being involved. Because if you can tie him up, he's not there to play. Now, that only has a certain amount of shelf life. Either frustrates him, either causes penalties, either means all your focus is on him and nobody else. But if I was playing against France, I would pick out Antonio, I'd pick out Dupont, I'd pick out Jalibert, and I'd pick out Bielbiaré, and I'd say every time they get the ball, the lights come on, and we are like, right, we're into it. Every time Dupont I would be shouting at him the whole game. Dupont, gonna fucking get you. We've got you. Every time he ran, I'd hit him. I'd push him onto the ground. I'd step on his ankle. I'd do everything I could do to make it an issue.
Possibly why you were the most carded England player of all time.
I know, but I mean, as players, that's what you would do. And I think as a defence coach, you would encourage to do that. Yeah. You can't do it all the time. And unfortunately, when we played, for example, Australia, you had Pocock, you had
Michael Hooper.
Hooper, Pocock. And so if you it was like whack-a-mole. You hit one down, the other one popped up. The problem with France is there are so many good players. You whack Dupont, Ramos pops up. Do
you remember the opening of Six Nations last year in Marseille?
Yeah.
Well, it was Lucu playing because Dupont was playing sevens. We had 50% line-out accuracy. The way of denying Antoine Dupont is don't give him the ball.
Yeah.
So go at scrum, go at line-out. The way of Louis Bielbiaré not running everywhere is that kick him a high ball with Freddie Stuart running at him.
Yeah.
Don't leave him space. There's tactical ways of doing it. It's not easy. Everybody tries to do it. Everybody also tried to kill Richie McCaw for the whole career. Nobody really
you can't
ever
do it,
did.
but sometimes you can. But sometimes you'll get the advantage. The only thing is, everyone else has to do it, because at 60 minutes, for example, or 59 minutes, or whenever we normally do, the tide will turn, and at some point Dupont will break through because he's that quality player. But I think there are certainly different things tactically that you can make the decisions to hinder them. But I really do think they are only human, these guys, and there are 2 or 3 times where you have opportunities to really put a mark onto it. And I think that's what I would do, because I think it's the only thing at your disposal. As well as don't kick out, don't give away loose ball, don't fucking kick idly against a French side that can offload. When you're tackling, hunt in pairs, fuck's sake, chop them, and someone go for the offload. So I remember when Sean Edwards had it. When you got guys that can offload, often if Ben was inside me as a defender and he's going to tackle, I might leave his man because he's going to tackle him. But if against France, you can't have that, because he would ultimately offload the ball. So I'd be slightly tighter and go, as soon as someone runs between us, he's taking the legs, I'm trying to hit the ball, I'm trying to stop him. You have to be more careful now with the tackle height. But I would focus on that and not allow them, because I'd rather them go round us than go through us with offloads, because once you get offloads, you're on the back foot and you can't reset to then blitz defence. So what I would like to do is I would have that real kind of eye on offloading. All week I'll be training. I'd have the opposition playing. The 9 and 10 of the opposition team this week for the non-England team are vital. All the players aren't in that 22 or 23 have to absolutely step up and put a massive shift in for the guys, because they have to play offloading, they have to play fucking loose play, they have to play counter-attack, they have to be really physical in the set piece, they have to cause them trouble. And whoever's the opposition 9, where it's Spencer, has to, he's going to have to get flattened all week.
I think Spencer's going to be pretty much as fucked off, so he will do his best.
I would.
To give that. I think just to add, we talked about this I think last week, and what they did, what Cameron Roygaard did to Dupont in the New Zealand game, and how much he was just solely there to get as fast through the ruck or around the ruck as he could to get on him. And don't take away his time. Don't let it be the job of the, whatever you want to call it, bodyguard, waiting for him to run and waiting for him to make decisions. Someone go after him, someone quick. So it's going to be a 9. And then I agree with Ben. It's like put them in a place where they don't want to be.
We're going to come on to predictions in just a moment or two. Quick word on Scotland, Italy, 31-19 the final score, 19 all with not long to go, but Scotland find their way out of a scrap. Was the mother-in-law happy with that much? I had a long chat with Finn Russell pre-game.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought she would have been that happy with it. He sort of went to plan to start off with, and then, fair play to Italy. I was like really struggling to see what they were trying to do at the start, and it looked like it was going to just slowly pull away. But I think Finn probably didn't have his best game, which then makes it a bit hard when he's just, as you would argue, he's the equivalent. I thought Ben White actually played well, but I think he boosted his chances. Ben White, if we talk about Lions going up and down, I thought Finn probably, with performances from other 10s, probably didn't do himself as much a favour.
A lot of credit in the bank, you would say.
Yeah, a lot of credit in the bank.
Scotland obviously haven't won the title since 1999. Ireland at Murrayfield. What hope?
It's a big ask. It's complicated. They finished by going to Paris on the last Super Saturday. So it's a big ask, but the same way it's a huge ask for France to go to Twickenham and then to go to Aviva too. So I don't think it's a Grand Slam year for anybody. So I'll can that one for Scotland, but I'll can it for anybody because it is a huge ask. Now, are they disappointing by the talent that they show and then the results that they don't show? Absolutely. I think they're a team that excites me. I do like when Finn is on fire. I do like Tupurutu. I like Darge. I find them really interesting. I find them clever, but sometimes it just falls short. Most of the time they fall short and they're frustrated with it. So I'm a big believer into yes, we can, maybe we'll be out of a job, but let's not just speak about the past. I'm excited to see that game. I want to see the best team go at it, and every game is a different scenario, a different moment. Now, how do they react to the ref, to the weather, to the ball, the bounce of the ball, to whatever it is? That's what keeps it interesting. So.
The reason I'm employed is we own part of the company. Not enough sole part. I've still got some. They can't get rid of, but it's not that easy.
Right.
I think there's a lot of paratives in the pack. I think in the back lines you've got paratives. You've got Van der Merwe against Lowe. You've got Matt Canson against Darcy Graham. You've got Blair Kinghorn, Hugh Jones at the moment is on fire.
There you go. Hat-trick City.
Hat-trick City. And so I think there's fascinating matchups out there, and I think. Yeah, I'm really interested in how it plays out. I'd say that Ireland are normally Scotland's bogey team. It's always that team that can't seem to get over the line
between
against.
them at the moment as well.
Yeah, I think it's growing into a bit of that, isn't it? And it was like Ireland. It used to be Ireland Wales for that little small period where Wayne Barnes took a lot of the brunt of it, but it created that spice. I think it's Scotland Ireland at the moment, and it's the same question: can Scotland consistently back it up?
We are very excited to announce that ahead of the tour this summer, we've teamed up with the principal partner of the British and Irish Lions and our favourite global insurance brokers, Howden. Howden will be helping ensure greatness for our boys in red out in Australia later this year. And over the course of the Six Nations, we will have the Lions at the forefront of our minds. Each game week, we'll be hosting the Howden Lions Watch, where we'll discuss who we think should be on that plane come June. So the three of you have got the challenge of picking one name with a little 30-second explainer as to who you think has advanced their cause. This week. James, you've turned to the right page in the brief and you're ready to go. Look at you, clever little student.
Howden.
Yes.
I'm going to go with, I think James Lowe. pretty easily the best.
Super boring.
Super boring.
Yeah.
But
plays it safe though. That's
play
like
it
taking
safe.
a 9
Mega
off the
safe.
tee and
Because
just
it's
getting into the
uber safe.
fairway.
Because Howden is a safe brand to work with, like we are. So I'm going to say whatever his name. I just said it. I can't
Well,
remember.
an absolute bolter from the blue there
James
was
Lowe.
James Lowe. Well
No,
done.
but
Plucking a name from the ether.
Oh dear. Well, listen, I'll let the other two do the hyperbole and picking people out. I'll just go Jack Willis then. Jack Willis.
Do you want to pick us
Who
on?
would you do then?
Look,
Do the French love the Lions? Or they have no interest?
Well,
Would they love a game against the Lions?
They respect the Lions.
Yeah.
Would they love a game against the
They
Lions?
played them in
adore one.
1990, I think.
They would adore one.
We should tour France.
100% tour France.
We'd
I
love
know.
that. Imagine
I'd
that
love
would be
that.
unbelievable.
Said we games against Spain and Barcelona, and then three
The Nou
games
Camp.
Marseille, Lyon, Paris.
Oh wow! Imagine that.
Hello.
That'd be proper.
South of France. Oh, it'd be great. But going big games in Paris. That'd be great.
That'd
Yeah.
be proper.
I don't know why.
Okay.
Why the Southern Hemisphere have got a monopoly on it?
So one player put his hand up for the Lions tour. James Law, that's easy. I reckon
Well,
he's
that's
got the
what I said,
jersey.
so.
Gibson Park, he's got the jersey. I think Ollie Lawrence put his hand up. Ben Earl. I'll go for Jack Morgan just because I
Nice.
thought he was actually really good against France. He's a proper working horse. Workhorse.
Working horse.
He works. You know.
Yeah, no. we know. We know.
No, and I like his attitude. I think he's a tough cookie who works very hard for his team. And as a captain at the moment, he's really suffering. And you're gonna need some guys who are ready to work. Now, is he gonna be a starter for the Lions? I don't know. Is he gonna be part of the squad? I'm pretty sure.
You'd be livid if you were Jack Morgan, though. Just sort of that generation slightly too late of the golden era. That you're like, yes, I've made it through. I'm unbelievable. For turn around, go, oh God, and then you go. I tell you what, you be captain as well. You've got to deal with it all.
The old Pat Sanderson.
Yeah.
Guys, I can't do this by myself.
You just got, you would be livid. I reckon he's probably called up his mum. But hey, mum, we got any English in it? Got any French? Like I would, because he'd get into most other sides. I think he was the one Welsh guy that we said would be
He's
probably
my
be on the
pick.
plane.
He's my
I know,
pick.
Sean,
Yeah.
I'm backing you up, darling.
I like it.
He's
Ben,
a
you've
great
gone much
working
further
horse. He's
off
great
the
working
subject.
horse.
I was going to say Rory
Yes.
Dodge,
Yeah.
but just because I thought he would, physicality wise, he carried, he defended well, got over ball, made 2 sort of key steals. I thought he had a really good game and sort of elevated. It's going to be very tough to get into that back row. So I'll give him a little shout out.
But midweek
He does well.
mayhem's going to be key in Australia. So you need people like that.
Like you.
Well, they didn't want to go on about it, but exactly. Like me.
You can pick our midweek players. So we've got Lowe, we've got Darge, and we've got Jack Morgan in our squad for now. We obviously cannot wait to see how the rest of the Six Nations plays out and how our opinions will change. I'm sure yours will too. One quick final question. Tins, I'm going to give it to you. If you were handing out travel insurance for Australia, which I know is on your list of things to do, which of the players have we picked today that you would lock in? It's not difficult.
Yeah. Of the players we've picked, there's only one who's gone for a sure thing.
Yeah.
James Lowe will be on
God.
that plane.
I hate getting it right.
Howden, very short odds on that insurance.
Yeah. Okay. Well done, James. You've won yourself some Howden travelling.
Would you think would Howden insure me if I was going on
you
tour?
are uninsurable.
Yeah, that's
There is
it turns
no-
out I actually am.
Well, I reckon you could be insured, but the premium would be. I'm not sure Howden would be
Astronomical.
interested in that.
Do Howden do cancel culture insurance like we saw?
We'll get onto that next week. We'll sponsor next week's sponsor section, which is.
I can't lie. I do. I mean, obviously, did you see that they've actually brought out? A company has brought that out. I am in desperate need of cancel culture insurance. Is that possible, Howden? Can we look into it as a new branch?
Yeah, great. Whether it's insuring.
Or you can just keep doing what you're doing and just carry on sponsoring the life.
I've now got to
Absolutely
finish
no
the ad
fun.
read with whether it's insuring your local rugby club, your business, big or small, or what matters most in your life, home, car, travel, or cancel culture insurance, Howden has your back. You can achieve great things. It's time for Mystic Mike's Predictions, everyone's favourite time of the week, in partnership with our good friends at Heycar, where you can search thousands of quality used cars and then buy online or at a local dealership. Michael got 2 out of 3 in round 1. Lots more drama to come starting on Saturday. Italy-Wales, 2:15. You made a very good point earlier on. When was the last time Italy started a Six Nations match as favourites?
Yeah, I couldn't tell
Have
you.
they ever?
I wouldn't say there is ever that they've done that.
That would have been a useful piece of
Oh, should I
research.
ask
Yeah,
ChatGPT while you're doing
Yeah,
our
okay.
research?
Yeah.
Right,
But-
Italy-Wales. Call it.
I think Italy win, but I think it's going to be close.
Do you?
I'm slightly worried about Wales' scoring capability. That is my worry for them.
Inability to score, or that you think they will score?
No,
Inability.
From an Italy, right? okay.
Inability. to score. Whereas I think Italy are always good for a few points. So I think Italy are going to win.
Yep.
20 points to 15.
I mean,
by 5.
A couple of scary things. We could basically replace snacks. which
You just typed in print us out a running order for this week's show.
Can you write a brief for the good, the bad, the rugby?
Yeah, I haven't done that, but we'll do that next. So we can save a lot of money on that. We've got the MD on the phone because snacks is gone.
And the T&E budget's gone down a bit.
Have the Italian rugby... We'll cancel that buffet every day. Have the Italian rugby team ever started a Six Nations game as favourites to win? As of February 2025, the Italian rugby team has not started a Six Nations game as the favourites to win. Since joining the tournament in 2000, Italy has often been considered the underdogs in their matches, even against teams like Scotland, where they might have a stronger chance. Bookmakers have typically favoured their opponents. For instance, in the 2025 Six Nations opener against Scotland, Italy was priced at 15-2 to win, while Scotland was at 1-12. So there you go.
So they've
The
never.
answer to the question is no.
Yes, they've never. So they've never. So
So
I'm
they never
going
have, but-
to go their first game ever as favourites.
And
They're
they back
going to
it
win
up.
it.
Okay, Italy by 5. England, are you happy with that?
I'm just going to ask if it can do a running order and capture that.
Right, okay, perfect. Can it replace James Haskell on the good, the bad, and the rugby?
It said no.
England, France, 4:45. You're going to be there?
Yeah.
You're commentating or in studio?
Commentating.
Got
Commentating.
yellow gloves?
Absolutely.
Absolument.
Lovely.
England, France prediction, please, Michael.
Look, as much as I want England to win, and I believe that they'll rock up and they'll play well, I don't think they will win. But I think they're also going to have to score points to get. They're going to have to score points because I don't think you're going to keep this French team out. So I think France are good for 30 points. So I'm going to say that England will score 23.
France by 7. That's high scoring.
I'll take that.
You'll take that? Would you disagree with that?
It might be slightly generous in terms of points scored and difference, but I'd see a 6-point win, whatever, 20, 29, 23, something like that, but not far.
Yeah.
He hasn't been able to tap it into ChatGPT to give himself an answer. Scotland, Ireland, Sunday, 3:00.
I think this is going to be a great game. I'm going to say that I just think Ireland are going to sneak it again, and I think it's going to be a high scorer again. I think it's going to be 33-29.
Anyone backing Scotland?
I thought maybe, Scotland, yeah.
Do you?
I think so. I think Ireland showed there's some vulnerability periods of time. I think Scotland will have to double down after the game against Italy because there was a period where they would have been disappointed, as Tin says. Finn Russell got caught a couple of times, got read quite well by the Italians. But I think they do have the ability to beat Ireland.
Right. Are you reading from ChatGPT again?
I've just plugged into it. It's now.
Right. What should I say to the question, Scotland or Ireland?
It's now assimilated my body. I am now part of ChatGPT.
You literally drifted off into the ether.
I did. I just spoke calmly.
I think they could. They believed that they could win that game.
I think
a bit disappointing if they couldn't. And didn't.
No, but
You went
I think-
into very Laurence Delalio third person
I
speaking.
did, yeah. Does James Haskell think they can win? James Haskell does think they can win. Scotland for the win by 7 points.
Oof.
I'll
Scotland,
go
Ireland.
Scotland by 1 because I want them. I
You
want them to beat Ireland because Ireland are a massive threat.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Regardless of Mystic Mike's accuracy, one thing is certain. Heycar makes choosing your next car so easy. Whether you prefer an in-person experience at a local dealer or the convenience of an online shopping session, Heycar offers both. You can even have your new car delivered straight to your door for free. Plus, all their vehicles come with a warranty and a 10-day money-back guarantee. Terms and conditions apply. Explore more and discover their range at heycar.com/UK. Ben, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. One question and one question only before you leave. Stuart Lancaster has left Racing 92. What's happened?
Poor performances, extremely disappointing performances by Racing. I'm not going to open up the excuse box for him, but because of the last Olympics, they didn't get their La Défense Arena stadium until late, and they had to play a little bit everywhere. It was a bit of a joke, really. It was random for this really full of stars type of team. They went to play in Vannes. They had to play in Créteil, I think it was, or something like that. It's like a stadium around Paris, and they were all complaining. You go from an indoor rock concert arena with a 4G pitch, and that's why they built their team Arundel to play to a muddy pitch. It just looked really odd. and they lost a couple of times at home. Bad sort of dynamism about it, bad momentum, bit of doubt, a few injuries, a lot of criticism. Is Owen Farrell here? Is he really the man? Is Lancaster the man? There was the whole thing of Sia Kolisi asking to leave. It doesn't look good, right? Things at the club are a little bit shaky. Yannick Nyonga left at the same time. So all this not easy. A big challenge for him to take on. A very, very poor start that just led to pressure building by media, by the presidents, by everybody, and it was getting too much. And I think he is paying. I don't think it's going to change massively. It might change over the next couple of weeks. I don't think he was the problem. I think he didn't do well enough. I don't think he was the problem. You're not gonna, press the eject button on him and everything will be sorted. I think it's much deeper and more problematic than it looks. But it's just the nature of professional sport. You've got to do something about it, and you're trying to blitz a bit of electricity through the guys, and that's what they've tried to do.
Watch this space. We shall watch with great interest the next move for Stuart Lancaster. Ben Chance this weekend. We'll watch with great interest what's happening. Okay. Thank you very much for joining.
Absolute
Bringing
pleasure.
the French flair to proceedings. Enjoy the weekend.
It's the first
best
time
team win.
Ben Kayser and French flair have been used in the same situation.
Oh, sorry. It's a bit of jouet back in the day.
I had none.
Ben, thank you very much indeed. We will see you later on in the season. As you can imagine, we would ramble on and on, competing for our voices to be heard if it weren't for our team calling time on us every week.
But that is all about to change thanks to our new partners at Wob Group. Whether you're looking to purchase or part exchange your timepiece, or simply want the chance to win your dream piece, Wob Group has you covered.
And it is with thanks to Wob Group that every month we'll be putting one of the lucky grassroots players to the test alongside one of the boys, all in the name of winning a cash prize of up to £5,000, helping to take their club to the next level or have the social of the decade.
£5,000 up for grabs.
Did you say £5,000?
I said £5,000. And now it's time to make the draw for our first competition. So we have pulled together a little piece of mastery and we are going to spin the tombola. And among the clubs in the draw, we have Corstorphine Cougars RFC, who are desperate for the money to put it towards a large renovation of their changing rooms and gym. Lincoln RFC, who are going to be supporting junior teams with equipment. And Wyndham RFC, it's the former club of Tommy Freeman. So we've spun the wheel. This has been verified. And when the wheel stops, it is going to... It is Old Althamians RFC. Congratulations to you. We're going to be in touch with Old Althamians RFC later this week ahead of next week's show, where one lucky representative of that proud club will be playing Who the Ruck Is That? You will need to identify up to 6 mystery rugby players based only on the clubs that they've represented in their career.
But don't worry, if you entered your club for round 1, you will still be in the draw for next month's competition. So if you think you have what it takes, please head to the link in the episode description to fill in the entry form with your club name and the details for your chance.
All entries have to be UK based and it has to be money used for the club, not personal use.
That rules you out.
Remember, Wob Group is for all rugby fans. Head to wobgroup.co.uk. You can win hospitality at the Allianz Stadium, the Principality and Murrayfield.
That is a mega prize. Good luck to all involved and we'll look forward to running that next week. Michael, a little shout out from you, please.
A quick shout out to Brendan Roch, a member of the Balmoral Castle Buildings team who was diagnosed with MND last year. To support him, a group of gardeners, rangers, pony girls are taking on a massive 700-mile cycle ride from Stranraer to Murrayfield via Balmoral, led by, as it always is for MND, the annoyingly stop bugging me, Rob Wainwright, who does so much for obviously Doddy, and it's great to see him helping out with this.
That's right, Tins. They are fundraising for the My Name's Doddy Foundation. Head to justgiving.com and search for Team Balmoral Castle. And if you can, please do support, donate, or spread the word. Brendan, we are thinking of you and your team. The very best of luck. Good luck. Now, a quick reminder for extra content. Don't forget to subscribe to The Lock-In, which is a whopping £3.99 per month, should you want that sort of thing. Stories from behind the doors here at GBR Towers. This Father's Day, Sunday the 15th of June, which is rapidly approaching, I'm sure you'll agree, Give Dad a gift he will never, and I mean never, forget.
Forget or forgive.
Or forgive. Because on that Sunday, The Good, the Bad and the Rugby Live is taking place at Hampton Court Festival, and you can get your tickets now at hamptoncourtpalacefestival.com. We'd love to see the dads, the lads, the mums, the daughters. Don't say
Mainly the mums
anything.
and daughters.
Don't say anything.
Mainly.
At Hampton Court Palace Festival on the 15th of June. Do come on to that if
We're
you
used to
fancy it.
palaces. We're used to palaces. We're comfortable.
Is that
there.
in the property
We're
portfolio,
humorous.
Hampton Court, or is you going to take that over soon? Not yet. No,
That's
you haven't got that
good.
one yet. Another game of Monopoly for tins
Well,
to
we like that. I'm
clean
very
up a little
excited
bit more
about
of
it. I love
Southwest
links
London.
with the audience, especially in fantastic surroundings. So please buy a
Should be
ticket.
sunny as well.
Should be sunny.
Hopefully.
I won't be DJing. Might do. I don't know.
Right, okay. Don't need to pay for that. Thank you for tuning in to The Good, the Bad and the Rugby in partnership with Continental Tyres. An emotional roller coaster this week, but it's the Six Nations, and what else did you expect? Continental Tyres are our go-to for premium tyres, whether on the rugby field or the road. Safety always comes first. And also, unlike this show, Continental Tyres are award-winning. The Good, the Scads and the Rugby have released some epic episodes recently, and certainly would recommend their episode with Meg Jones. If you haven't listened to that one, please do. A reminder, you can now watch the full podcast of The Good, the Bad and the Rugby on Spotify as well as on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review and follow us on social media for all the latest rugby updates. We're a Folding Pocket production. Stats and facts provided by Oval Insight, and this episode was produced by Tom
ChatGPT.
Edwards. Bye for now.
You've been listening to The Good, yay, The Bad, and The Rugby, oof, with Alex Payne, James Haskell and Mike Tyndall. Thanks for listening.
The balls have all got monitors now about speed and everything else.
My
and
ball's got monitors on them, but that's part of the divorce settlement.
I don't need the data from those, I'm afraid.